Welcome back to the last day of our NAB show at the Teradek booth. We're here to talk about post-production this morning. I'm Sarah Radel with Immersive Shooter, and we have a really, really great lineup. First, we're going to join Chris Babotis and Mariana Acuna. Chris is the CEO and co-founder of Mettle, developer of a 360 VR software for Adobe After Effects and Premiere Pro. And Mariana Acuna is the chief product officer at Opaque Studios, where she leads the roadmap and features for their existing technology stack, specializing in VR and virtual production tools. So post-production is one of the most frustrating things for a lot of producers. So what are the questions that you guys get asked all of the time? Like, what are the features, Chris, that you get asked for, and Mariana, that your coworkers ask you to help them with?
You want to start, Chris? You want to go? I usually get which camera to use, what's the easiest to stitch with, or which one, should they do it mono, should they do it stereo, should they shoot mono and then convert to stereo, or should they just try to do stereo from the get-go? And a lot of questions about pre-production and how would be the best route to try to lower costs, or where to allocate more money, like post-production, pre-production, or the actual production. That's usually the questions that I get asked the most.
And what do you say? share your knowledge.
Well, it really depends on the story. I always say that it's not so much like choose the right tool for the right job. So it really is about the storytelling. So if it's, if it's something that can be easily done in 360 video and you want to, just get to a broader audience, and then you just want to upload it to YouTube VR or to Facebook 360, then, use a mono rig. It's like one of the GoPro rigs or something that's going to be, even, sometimes I say, or use the Kodak Pics, even use the Ricoh Theta for pre-production and location scouting, and so actors, and so they can try to understand the medium and all that. And then, I will always suggest like a higher end camera, like, I don't know, the Oso or the Odyssey, if your experience is going to go that route. Now, if you're going to do interactive, well, that's a completely different story. And then I usually try to explain to them that interactive takes a really long time, that it's not just like go shoot and it's done. It takes like, can take at least a year. So it really depends what your story is. Then that'll be what I will go with, like what I suggest.
All right, and Chris, on your end, I guess first give us an outline of what Mettle can do, and then tell us sort of the features that people are asking for and how you're answering that.
Absolutely. So much like,
Mariana.
Much like Mariana said, to me it's really all about the story. There's no magic camera, there's no single solution that'll do everything. What is your story asking you for? Is it an array-driven production? Array meaning, a Z-Cam or a GoPro configuration, or is it a nodal shoot? A lot of the times, when we first started, a lot of the people were like, how do you get rid of the director? And then my question was, why do you want to get rid of the director sometimes? Why wouldn't you want that complicity? Why wouldn't you want somebody on set to help drive that performance, right? So that's a nodal production right off the bat. I mean, just shoot a clean plate, comp it out, everybody's happy. It's not that complicated, right? They get very, very scared when they see these equirectangular formats, and it's just strange to them, right? But as soon as you start to bring it into their world, 5 to 10 minutes into the conversation, everybody just relaxes. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I can take a decade or more of experience and just bring it into 360 very, very easily. So I think our claim to fame has been just making it easy. Just taking away anything that's foreign to the storyteller, to the content creator, and just letting them work the way they've always worked, in After Effects and in Premiere Pro. Anything that we've introduced from a UX or a UI standpoint adheres to the host application. So an editor will walk in and within seconds say, wait a minute, that looks exactly like the transition that I've been using for 1 billion years, right? I can comp, I can actually green screen and do that. I can use motion control. Wow, I'm used to that. It's all good, basically, right? So one of the things, one of the things that we've been asked, a feature set that we've been asked for a lot, and we just announced here at the show, is depth related. Right? So depth of field is a storytelling tool. So technically speaking, you can do it in After Effects, right? But it's a very, very complex process that you have to go to, and you'd have to have an intermediate to higher level knowledge of the application to do that, and 3D to a certain degree, right? Well, we announced the deal with a collaboration with Facebook to help bring depth related products into 360 VR. So as I was telling Mariana, we're showing depth of field as an example, at this show, and people are just losing their mind because it's a simple one-click solution. Here's your focal point, focal length. Here's your controls for your camera lens blur, and et cetera, and it's just super fast, and it's happening, and you don't have to jump through hoops. So people are very, very happy about that.
And I've seen that a lot of people are sort of using those tools to help redirect attention. So people are always concerned, like, I'm having a really hard time telling a story because people are looking over here when what I want them to see is over here.
I think there was a great opportunity. I mean, there's definitely technical reasons to bring post effects and transitions into 360 VR space, because most of them are built for rectilinear, where nobody's concerned about what goes on beyond the frame, right? Well, in this case, we're very concerned with what goes on beyond. So there's definitely a technical reason to bring these tools over into 360, but there's also storytelling initiatives, right, that we put into play. So for example, the transitions all have point of interest control that'll help you direct that gaze so that it resolves properly, right? A simple rotate your sphere control helps tremendously. I can't say it'll work, but it'll help influence, right? So where you don't have the luxury of planning and blocking properly, right? So maybe more a journalistic environment where you're at the mercy of what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, there you can do some of that in post. You can do it even better in audio.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say light on
audio
that's the way to go.
I think audio is...
audio is key.
Yeah, it needs... I'm sorry, whoever is involved in audio, do more.
Yeah.
Do much, much more.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. Huge, especially in this space.
Yeah.
Where it was quoted that audio is 50% of the equation. I think it's closer to 70% in this case. Especially in presence.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? If well-designed audio immerses you like that.
Well, that, for me, that was the first time I thought, wow, this is going to work, was when I had a piece with spatial audio, and I was like, this is it. This is going to work.
Yeah.
So speaking of like sort of future things, I know that we are all trying to incorporate spatial audio, but it's still sort of hard. Although there are a lot of tools here this week that are going to make it a lot easier, I think.
Yeah.
But as far as like volumetric video and CGI and some of the directions that people are taking, beyond 360 video, how are you growing with that, and how are your workflows changing?
Oh, they're absolutely changing, and we're just having the discussion before where I want a t-shirt that says depth is everything, because depth is absolutely everything.
Yeah,
and once you have it, I mean, it's the beginning stages of 3 degrees of freedom and 6 degrees of freedom, but if you combine like LiDAR data and photogrammetry, and then volumetric humans and volumetric capture, and I think we're gonna be seeing a lot more tools for like cleanup, so that you're able to clean up your virtual humans. And I'm sure like Microsoft and everyone else, they're gonna AI, they're just gonna get better and better and creating these virtual humans. There will be tools in the case where it's like an open format where you're gonna be able to clean it and maybe relight it and make it look a lot more realistic, because right now in some experiences it doesn't look as realistic.
Yeah.
But then now, it's going to become a way, more immersive experience if you're going to be able to move around, right? And then from there, who knows what will happen and where the tools will take us. But it's definitely going into that direction.
And like even where we are now, I was watching After Solitary in Emblematic Group's booth, and he popped into existence and his head was right here, and I stepped back and I made sure I wasn't standing in his bed or on his table, and it was really cool. And I was sort of like, I don't see what the benefit of doing this is, like this doesn't really matter to me, but it was cool. You had to experience it to believe it. So
I think with 6DoF, the beginnings, right? So depth is not something that you commit to and pull back. And one of the things I love the most about this Facebook announcement is that it shows, excuse the pun, but it shows a deeper commitment to the medium. And what people are getting, that the content creators are saying, is if there was any doubt whether this medium's going to be around, this just validates that it's here to stay. Because depth is not something that you can walk in and do partially. You need to commit to this and go all the way full-blown volume. It'll take time, right? But this is a great beginning. I think the early stages, people are going to feel it more than actually see it. So in our early tests with 6DoF, so you get a little more latitude in how you're moving, it just feels better.
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's all you really need right now. Where I'd like it to go, I'd love for things. So we're going to be in a pre-rendered state, right? A lot of our stuff is pre-rendered, like depth of field, depth-based masking, et cetera, et cetera. Where I'd love to see it go, and that's where we're heading, is I'd like to see depth of field resolved at view time. that would be phenomenal, right? So I'm looking at you, you're fully sharp. Mariana's not quite in focus. I look at her, oh my God.
Yeah, like foveated rendering.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. A foveated, so like an iteration of foveated rendering, but
Right.
based on eye tracking, right? And at runtime, or view time would be a better expression, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be phenomenal. One thing that I'm going to push hard for, although audio is not our business, I am a sound junkie. I truly believe in that it is way more important than video. We're going to push to grab some of the mesh data that we're getting and allow the audio guys to ray trace sound so that it reacts a lot more naturally in the volume. If we can even do that, even before we could get to the next level of 6DoF, right, where the acquisition is a little richer, I think it'll be just a dynamite experience, even right there.
Yeah, so no matter where we're heading, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and in terms of workflows as well, it's really interesting to see, like now with depth as well, not only are you able to do mixed reality experience, and for example, at SVVR, there were like quite a few depth-dependent cameras that were coming out into the market, which I thought was really interesting. And then in post-production, you're not only going to be able to do depth of field, but then you can create point clouds and then position CG elements way easier, and then they're going to distort correctly because they actually have that depth information and the 360 information, right? And also then something else that I've been seeing a lot of is like light fields, and now, you know, kind of like how that workflow is going to look like, and then you have the auto guy saying they want to be like, you know, the ones that are going to own that light field workflow. So it's really interesting to see what depth is really doing in all this. And also you can do a lot better like grading. You can then use that mesh to create particles, and everything's going to be exactly where it's supposed to be. You're going to know where every pixel is in space, X, Y, Z coordinates. So I think thanks to these new workflows, it's going to make it easier for creating better content.
Absolutely. And how will those changes sort of affect your current workflow and your current tools? Like, how is that going to grow?
Tremendously. That's the kind of a discussion that we had with Facebook. Again, I go back to, we cannot partially commit to this. We just frustrate the content creator, right? So we're going to start with 5 tools for the Adobe ecosystem in this year. It can't end there. It just cannot. This is a 10-year path before you're really done, or you're even close to done, quite frankly, right? So it's shaping one branch of our tools. There's other branches as well that I can't talk about. I just don't want to take away anything from depth from this show. We were ready to deploy 5 products, but we decided that's nonsense, it's silly. Each product deserves its own spotlight, right? So, but that's one branch. The other branches are stuff that we'll talk about at SIGGRAPH, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a clear path.
It's absolutely clear path.
Insofar as depth is concerned, it's a very, very clear path.
Yeah.
And then I only have time for one more question, so I have to ask, what tools did you see here that you think that everyone should know about, that you're really excited? Chris, obviously your own, but what else?
Well, you know, I used to work at the Foundry, and also like what those guys are doing, it's always great. They're actually coming out with a lot of depth-dependent tools for like the OSO camera and the jump camera. One of the best things I've seen is definitely all the Google VR ecosystem, like the new camera, the G Halo with stereo, with depth maps, and then spatial audio, but then you have the Daydream headset, the Daydream platform, YouTube VR, and they just came out with this like Jumpstart program for content creators. They're just gonna like lend cameras to them. So, I mean, I think that's fantastic because it's just making it easier. You know, they have the jump assembler, so it auto stitches. So, you know, that whole ecosystem was definitely something that I got really excited about.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I'm loving where the cameras are going, more and more. There's stitching. Well, listen, there will always be some cleanup. I've never seen a perfect solution so far, but I'm liking that it's making it easier. I'm liking that they're exporting data that we can actually work with when we need to. It's not just MP4s anymore that are compromised. I'm liking the ease of use a lot. Anything that makes the whole process cleaner, richer, easier, I'm good. I'm very, very good, actually.
Well, as someone who's out there trying to create content, I totally agree. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with Celine Tricart to talk about stereo versus mono. See you then.